issue. Dr. Rakib, can I just say, one of the things that I think has been lost in all of this, potentially, has been the people who maybe come from a long line of people who live around the Birmingham or the Midlands area, who over the course of the last 20, 30, 40 years have seen their area change drastically, and now the culmination of essentially an argument that started on the subcontinent erupting in a street in Leicester. I mean, how must they be feeling? It's not great for integration, is it?
It's really not, Patrick, and I think this foreign-inspired sectarianism and ultra-religious identity politics, it poses a fundamental threat to social cohesion. You're talking about population change there. Understandably, there'll be people within the white British mainstream thinking that diversity is not as such our strength. I've always made the point that there are many migrants who have come to the UK, migrants of different faiths and ethnicities and races, who have contributed a great deal to the social, cultural and economic life of Britain. But we really need to challenge those who have an uncritical view of diversity. The reality of the matter is, unless the country successfully ties that diversity in terms of shared values, common obligations to one another, then it can unravel very quickly, Patrick.
It does, and that serves only to completely defeat the idea that it might ever work. And one of the problems that I have is that it can be seen as being racist to say, can we just slow it down? One of the arguments might be, we're not against immigration as a whole, we're not against different cultures coming in, moving into a particular area, but maybe we should slow that down a bit to make sure that integration is done correctly. Is it too much too quickly?
Well, I think firstly, it's not racist to say that there are drawbacks to cultural diversity. That's the truth of it. And secondly, I don't think it's racist to suggest that current immigration levels are too high. As I've written over the course of the week, in light of the Leicester disorders, I am somewhat concerned by the radical ideological beliefs which may be held by some newly arrived subcontinental migrants. As you know, Patrick, not all is well in South Asia. India increasingly is becoming a hotbed of Hindutva ideology, Hindu fundamentalism. Pakistan's problems with Islamist extremism is well documented. It is a fragile state. So it is a reasonable view to hold that recent waves of immigration may possibly have a negative impact on community relations.
Is it becoming harder to make the case for mass migration, do you think?
Oh, I don't think there ever was a case, was there? I think that if you want to live in an advanced, successful, multiracial, ethnically diverse democracy, you need a restrictive and streamlined immigration system. I've always said that if any British citizen is supportive of maximising social cohesion and public security, they should be also supportive of a streamlined immigration and asylum system.
It's very difficult, though, isn't it, when one would imagine there's a huge amount of community pressure that maybe emanates from a nucleus of more radical or extreme or fundamentalist elements within that community that can easily seep out. And then it's almost like peer pressure, isn't it? And all of a sudden, if you've got 10 of your mates who might be particularly offended about something and they're going to go and protest outside a temple or outside a mosque or in some form of community, it's easy for that to spread, isn't it? And it's hard to combat that, is it?
It is very difficult to combat. I thought one of the problems with the Leicester disorders was that the local police force seemed ill-equipped to cope with that. I'm glad to see there's more inter-force policing, and that's needed because one of the main problems with the Leicester disorders was the arrival of out-of-town troublemakers coming into Leicester, reportedly from major cities such as London and Birmingham. Of course, there will be peer pressure, but I think that's where you do need, within particular communities, those anti-extremist voices to say that we need to do away with those with this tribalism and this sectarianism, which has no place in Britain.
Are there enough of those? Sorry, just quickly, Dr. Rakib, sorry about this. I'm getting shouted at horrendously in my ear because we've got to do a thing called the headlines. But are there enough of those voices in communities? Because that's a big criticism as well of people. Yes, people shouldn't have to justify the actions of a few, right? That's unequivocal. But at the same time, Are there enough people within that community willing to stick their head above the parapet and say, hang on now, enough's enough, stop this?
Well, I think there needs to be more voices, because when it comes to this kind of foreign-inspired sectarianism and communal intimidation, it has no place in Britain, and I'd like to see more voices speak against it.